Big poppin', money in the bank, coming, dropping a deposit. Having it my way, so I got these bitches watching. Steady getting to it, couldn't fit it in my pocket. Flexing everything, baby, tell me big poppin'. Money in the bank, coming, dropping a deposit. Having it my way, so I got these bitches watching. Steady getting to it, couldn't fit it in my pocket. Flexing everything, baby, tell me what the topic.
What's poppin', everybody? It's your favorite doctor, that girl Henny, and here I'm about to pour up plenty of this Diddy update for y'all. Diddy is trying to get out one more again. Is that what we doing? Child, he done filed another bail proposal, offer, or package, whatever you want to call it, and he is offering the United States government $50 million to be released. Now, I don't know if he missed all of the memos that came out prior to tonight's or today's, because this came out this morning. I don't know if he missed the memos in his previous attempts, but I don't think the judge is fooling around with him, because the judge seemed to not be playing with him before trial, during trial, and after trial. Child, he wasn't playing with him, but here he is submitting another bail offer for him to get out before his October 2nd date. Now, before we get started into that, I want to welcome everybody to the channel. If you're new here, please be sure to like, comment, and of course, subscribe. Click the notification bell and select all so that you get notified whenever I do a video, child. And if you're a returning Mob Down Henny Gang member, I haven't done that in a minute. And we about to pull it up. So let me go ahead and let me get these documents up here on this screen for y'all. And if y'all see me with a frowned up face, it's because I am in pain. Okay, I'm still in pain from Saturday when I helped my mama move refrigerators, washers, and dryers, because that's what we do. And yeah, so I'm wincing. But if at any point in time I am leaving the floor open for anyone, if you feel like you want to come up here and you want to pop it because you don't like what I'm saying, you can just simply say down in the chat, drop that link, and I will allow you to come up. And in fact, you can even share it to your channel. But just know that when you come into my dojo, this is my dojo. And what I say go. Now, when I go to other people's platforms and channels and arenas and all of that stuff, I wipe my feet off and I sit down and I am courteous and I behave like a lady. Okay. But when you come over here, if you try to get savage, you will meet the beast. Okay. Because this beauty is a beast. Now that the Riot Act has been put out there, let's go ahead and let's start getting into this document, because, child, we got a lot to get into. Okay. Okay. So thank you for the well wishes. I appreciate all of y'all. Now let me get this up here for you guys so that we could get into all of the hot Henny that is going on, because, baby, trust me, you are going to enjoy tonight's events. Okay. This is the bail reconsideration that was submitted this morning by Mark Agnifilo. Now, this is the attorney that was the lead attorney for Diddy. And he's the one that was talking during the press conference. Let me make sure you guys can see this good. Can y'all see this good? Yes, y'all can see that nice and good. All right. So in this bail package little thing, this little proposal that they're offering to the Judge Subramanian, shout out to the Honorable Judge Arun Subramanian. I really liked him because I felt like he was fair during the whole process. You know, he was not biased and one-sided, even though there's a lot of people that are biased and one-sided. Hold on. Speaking of biased and one-sided, let me take this down for a second. Let me take this down for a second and let me address this, because I said I was going to address this. And this is on topic with Diddy. I see that there seem to be a lot of people that have faults with Gene Deal. And this started during the trial because people kept saying, well, why wasn't Gene Deal subpoenaed to come to court? He's been doing all of this talking online for all of these years. Let me explain something to everybody who doesn't know anything about Gene Deal, or who comes up here and tries to speak intelligently and eloquently, but they don't understand how this process actually went. Now, Gene Deal was not around during the time of Cassie, Gina, or Jane. Gene Deal left from being Diddy's bodyguard in the early 2000s. He was around for. Oh, Parlay, do you have something to say? Would you like to come up? Because I'm on timing tonight. You could be the first victim. You want me to drop the link? Just say drop that link and I will drop it and give you the attention that you want. Now, he was around for Kim Porter. He was around for a lot of other events that took place that he has spoken about. And he has been very vocal. But the crazy part about it is Gene is not the only one that has been vocal. However, he's the one that is catching some flack. Why is that? I'm starting to wonder because I'm noticing that there is a very unhealthy glizzy gobbling that has been going on when it comes down to Diddy. And yes, I said it. A lot of people are gobbling the glizzy because they are whatever for Diddy. I don't know if they're living vicariously through him because, he was able to accomplish things that they couldn't, or if they're just strag-alongs or hang-alongs or tag-alongs or whatever, get along. I don't know. But I'm seeing a lot of unnecessary gobbling that's been going on and attacking that's been going on. And let me just say this, and I'm going to be very loud and clear with this so nobody can misinterpret what I'm saying. While Diddy has not been found guilty of the RICO or the sex trafficking, he was found guilty of 2 counts of the Mann Act, okay? And according to law, the Mann Act is considered a violent crime. Now, not only that, we're not going to sit back here and act like we didn't see or hear all of the evidence that we saw and heard. We're not going to sit back here, not over here at this bar. We're not going to sit at this bar and act like we didn't hear all of the criminality that was going on in this case. So regardless to whether a jury of his quote unquote peers, which I don't see how majority white jury was his peers, but I guess they're saying it was a jury of his peers because it was 8 men that was on that jury. And 4 women, only one of them of color. Yeah. So I don't know how they were of his peer, but maybe it was by their tax bracket, education level, which I don't even understand that, because if these people held degrees, Diddy did not. Ba-dum, boom, psh. Anyway, not a knock towards him. I'm just saying. But even though the jury found him not guilty, that does not mean that the acts did not happen or the evidence that we saw that was physical evidence does not exist. And I really don't care about how people are going to feel about what I'm saying, because nobody gives a damn about what anybody else is saying when they're saying what they're saying. So why do I have to tiptoe and skip over landmines that may possibly blow up? This is my channel. I'm going to say what I want, and the people that come in here actually want to hear what I got to say. So if you are one of those people that think that you're going to go back to your channel after being in my bushes and sneak diss me, well, baby, you go ahead and go over there. Just know, don't put a name on it, because I will come. Okay, call me the Candyman, because I will show up if I hear my name. So say my name, and I will show up, okay? And I will show out for you. Anyway, back to what I was saying. It's a lot of glizzy gobbling that has been going on that is ridiculous, because people are out here talking about Gene Deal. His whole channel is a lie, that everything that Gene Deal has said is a lie. So let me go ahead and ask people this question. If everything that Gene Deal said was a lie, then does that mean that Gene Deal has lied about City College? Because he's talked in great length and multiple times about what happened during the City College incident when multiple people lost their lives. Six people lost their lives, if I'm not mistaken. Or are the people who are the survivors of the victims who passed away, who were unalive because of negligence, are they lying on him? Or wait. How about the woman who was pumed in the eye in the club, who says she saw muzzle shots come from both Shine and Diddy? I guess she lying too, right? Oh, and Shine himself. Let's not forget about Shine. I guess Shine is lying about everything that happened to him. And let's not forget about the Locks and Mace and how they had to have campaigns ran in the streets for him to be let go, them to be let go from their contract from Diddy, because Diddy wasn't trying to let nobody go. Mace had to run down on him in the radio station, and the Locks had the Free the Locks t-shirts going on and all of that. Yeah, because I'm from Yonkers. I lived in Yonkers at that point in time. Let me just say this. I'm a Westchester girl. Shout out to White Plains, Greenburgh, Tarrytown, Mount Vernon, Ossining, all of that. But I majority lived in Yonkers. So I was out there when the whole Free the Locks campaign was going on, because they wanted to be let go from Bad Boy. Yeah, they had a little run-in with you over there on Hot 97. I believe it might have been during Angie Martinez's show, because a lot went down on Angie Martinez. Henny Glasses in the chat if you from New York and you remember that. Now, they had a little exchange with you on the radio too, and then they were let out of their contract. And let's not forget that Roger Bonds and a bunch of other folks have been out here talking about how he put hands, feet, and kneebos on Kim Porter as well, and how he broke Kim Porter's nose. Yeah, that's something that we keep hearing about. And we heard about him breaking a chair over Kim Porter's back as well. So the violence is there, but I guess everybody is lying on Diddy. Or how about Al B. Shore, who was very much convinced that Diddy had something to do with him getting sick? Now, this is allegedly. We don't know if any of this happened. Like it says on the ticker tape at the bottom, everything is alleged because we weren't there, so we don't know what happened. But what I am saying is there are a lot of people that have had a lot of things. Or what about all of the artists that were signed to Bad Boy that did not get their publishing until their publishing was not yielding the returns that it was yielding when he was holding them? And they didn't get their publishing unless they signed an NDA, and that is according to Aubrey O'Day. So I guess Aubrey O'Day is lying. I mean, because if you listen to what other people got to say, everybody is a lie. Everybody is lying. But the crazy part about all of this is a lot of this stuff, if we go back and we look, and I ain't talking about the unalivings of Biggie and Tupac and all of that stuff, because let's be real, those have not been solved. They are still mysteries, and we are still trying to figure out what happened to two of our fallen rap legends. Okay, we don't know who did what, so I'm not placing that on that man. But what I'm saying is there are a lot of people that have come out and been speaking against him for years. So why is it that all of a sudden Gene Deal is the one that is catching all of the smoke and flack? Is it because Gene Deal poses the biggest threat? Because see, here's the thing. A lot of these people coming for Gene Deal are people that have never even smelt Diddy's fart. You've never even stood in a urinal and pissed next to him. All you did was possibly share a same room with him, maybe a glance in that courtroom, but you don't know Diddy. That man was around Diddy for years, personally, as his bodyguard, which means that the professional side that everybody saw, which I'm not taking away from any of the man's professional accolades because you cannot. That man is a genius with what he does. However, we're talking about him behind the scenes. And we're talking about the type of person, or as Gene Deal said, the character of him. And why is it that everybody that gets away from him doesn't have anything nice to say about him? You think that there's other people in the game that haven't had people get away from them? And you don't hear all of these people coming out in masses, in droves of numbers, complaining about the things that he has done. We have watched people get blackballed at the hands of this man, and then people are wondering why and asking dumbass questions like, well, why did she go back? For all of you, why did she go back? She kept going back type of people. Y'all have never, ever had a family member or you yourself ever been in that type of a relationship. And I ain't talking about a domestic dispute where a nigga put his hands on you and you got up and packed your bags and left. That's not what I'm talking about. Because see, that's a different type of thing that happens there. That was probably some type of little scuffle that y'all had and he accidentally hit you, or he hit you in anger and you got up and you left and y'all went about your business. No, I'm talking about them mofos that pray and spend time working you and luring you in. And then once they got you in, you don't realize how you got and how far you got because they done gaslighted you. They done ran a game on you. They done pulled the wool over your eyes, and now that you peeking up to try to see, you realize that you stuck in a situation that you didn't even ask for. You didn't sign up for. Oh, ball and draws, you want to come up here? You got something to say? You got something to say? Because I'm dropping the link tonight for anybody who feels froggy and want to jump. I got smoke for anybody. Welcome to the bar. You don't know. Okay? Now, oh, you said drop it? No problem. No problem. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be having a guest interrupting our portion of program. As I was saying before this person decides to come up here, unless you've been in one of those situations, you will never understand. Now, yes, he was found innocent of RICO and innocent of 2 counts of sex trafficking, but he was found guilty of 2 counts of the Mann Act, okay? And so, with that being said, I am not going to sit here and act like I didn't see what I saw and heard what I heard in that courtroom. I have also kept it very gully with people and let them know that I didn't believe everything that I heard, but I heard enough to believe some of the things that I heard and saw. I believed everything that I saw. Because how can you refute looking at a firearm with scratched off serial numbers? How can you refute all the drugs that you saw? How can you refute text messages and emails and pictures of bruises and all of that, broken doors? How can you refute any of that stuff when you've seen it? But I'll digress. Anyway, where you at? Because I dropped the link. You coming or no? That's a lie, Classy. You want to come up here? Let me drop this link. That's a lie. What I saw and heard was not a lie. You want to go over there and believe the delusions because you got people over here siding with the defense, which of course the defense is going to paint a narrative. Delete. That's their job. That's their job. How are you going to sit up here and say what I saw wasn't true? You want me to pull all the evidence that I can pull for you? Because I will surely do that. Don't come for me in my dojo, boo. But I've dropped the link. You can skedaddle if you don't like the content. I really don't give a damn. My subscriber base is solid. My real ones, no. My numbers are only low because I ain't been consistent. Classy, bring your assy. Speaking of the jurors, do you remember that one of the jurors said that they would not follow the instructions? They could not follow the judge's instructions because if they would have followed the judge's instructions, they would have found him guilty. It took a certain level of intellect to understand what it was that they were trying to build against Diddy. And yes, it was a slippery slope because at the end of the day, had he been found guilty of a lot of the things that he was found guilty of, that put all of us, regular people, at jeopardy of catching RICO. You wasn't there. You wasn't there, Classy. Don't lie. You was not there. Because if you was there, then you know good and damn well. You know good and damn well. And no, they were not. Bonna, they want to say Bonna was lying. But the judge even said a lapse in memory is not perjury. Go back where you came from, girl. Because this ain't the channel for you. Because what you not going to do is keep sitting up here bumping your gums and not come up here. You want to say you was up there, prove it. Prove it. Prove it. Because I was there. And I watched every exhibit that came across that screen. And what I'm not about to do is sit up here and lie. What I find real funny is if this was a regular, everyday, average Joe, y'all wouldn't even give a damn like this. Y'all wouldn't. Y'all wouldn't. They're not going to hit the link. So you got one more again and it's hello from the other side. Because tonight I'm on one. And I really don't care. And I'm on one because I'm in pain. So I'm here for the fuckery. If anybody wants to bring it, don't be down in it. Listen. Hit the link or get the fuck out. How about that? Cassie didn't lie. You want to sit up, you know what? Go back where you came from. Come on. Because you're not going to sit up here and pop it in the comments. Like you said you was there. Show me you was there. Show me you was there. Five. The countdown begins. One more time, moderators. Anyway, back to what I was saying. See, this is the type of shit that's going on because people like to spin narratives. They want to spin narratives because they over there listening to other people when they didn't see not a goddamn word that was put up on the screen. You didn't read them text messages. You ain't see them photographs. You going off of what people are telling you and they spinning narratives in favor of a man who they all of a sudden have amnesia and say he's innocent. Now all of a sudden everybody's lying on him. All of a sudden everybody's lying on him. People talking about I was riding with Diddy from day one. Y'all a motherfucking lie because everybody walked up in that courtroom and they all had their preconceived notions. Tell the truth and shame the devil. Y'all wasn't all riding for him in the beginning. There was some that was down there from the beginning for him, but everybody wasn't for Diddy in the beginning. And I'm going to tell you the truth. All the way up until the day that we received the verdict, there was people that was sitting up in that overflow room and baby, they was in there talking about Diddy, conspiracy theories and all types of stuff, talking about how he was foul for what he was doing and all of that. Girl, bye. Hello from the other side. Bye, girl. Bye. Now you can talk to yourself in the shadow realm. I done dropped that link too many times for you to sit up in my chat and be popping it. You wanted 5 minutes? I was going to give you your 5 minutes up here on the stage and say what you had to say. But now you could talk to yourself because don't nobody give a damn. Anyway, back to what I was saying. See, this is what I'm talking about. People get mad when I get up here and get to talking. People get mad when I get up here and get to talking. No, that wasn't. That's somebody that came over here from another person's page, and I don't even know where they came from. They can skedaddle. I don't give a damn, because I'm going to say what I want to say on my channel. Period. As I was saying, a lot of y'all talking ain't see what I saw, heard what I heard. And I can say what I want to say. Because at the end of the day, I see the sneak dissing videos that are going out. Don't think just because I'm quiet, I ain't seeing it. And I'm passionate about what I'm talking about. I mean what I'm saying. That's what that is. So don't ever mistake my passion. Oh, she's emotional. No, I'm not emotional, because I don't talk about this shit every single day. I don't have 5,000 videos that are dedicated to just Diddy. I talk about other stuff too, and I have a real life, okay? So I can say what I want to say, and I can say it how I want to say it. There's other people that if you listen to them talk, they sound very aggressive. But when I do it, it's a problem. Anyway, singling out Gene Deal because Gene Deal has been out here talking his talk for years ain't gonna get you nowhere. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It ain't gonna get nobody nowhere. That man has been out here stepping and stomping. Now, the one thing that I have said that still continues to ring true to this day is everybody that took that stand, they were either co-conspirators or they were accomplices. So they got immunity. And this is how it goes in federal cases. This ain't nothing that was special because it was Diddy. They give immunity out every damn day for people who are going to come into a case and testify. And I hate that people get duped into believing that this was something that was specifically done to just Diddy. How else were they going to get the information? People ain't going to come up on that stage and self-incriminate themselves. Diddy ain't coming for him, because if Diddy was going to come for him, Diddy would have been came for him. Gene Deal been out here for years talking about Diddy. Why the hell he hasn't been hit with no type of gag order, cease and desist, or a lawsuit, but yet and still he got time to go out there and file lawsuits against News Nation and that attorney girl. I don't even remember the attorney. Hey, I don't remember the attorney girl's name. Thank you, Brent. I love you too. Oh, child, we got another one. Anyway, let them talk. Anyway. And thank you for bringing up Ghislaine Brooklyn Rose, because at the end of the day, guess what? Hello from the other side, boo, because what you're not going to do is annoy me. Anyway, Ghislaine had gotten partial immunity for her to tell her story so that she doesn't incriminate herself. Why don't a few people go look up some books and go read some things for themselves, because that's a common practice. But like I've already said, all of them, including Diddy, are victims. Either victims of their choices, victims of their vices, or victims of another person. Okay? Coercion is an everyday thing that we all practice and we don't even realize it. If your man tells you that y'all cannot go out to Ruth Chris tonight and you want to go, you done got your red dress and put on your high heels and some of that sweet perfume. You done did all of that and you want to go out, and he tell you, no, y'all can't go today. Y'all got to wait till the weekend. And you start reminding him, remember that special thing I did for you on your birthday? And remember last week when I showed up to your job and I brought you your lunch because you had forgotten and I was 15 minutes late to work doing that for you? Remember when you came in and your back was killing you and I ran you that bath and I rubbed your back for you all night long till you fell asleep? Remember when you did all of that? You still ain't gonna take me to Ruth Chris. You can't do that for me. That's coercion. Ladies telling a man, if you do such and such for me, you're gonna get some of this coach. That's coercion. Fellas telling her, you give me some of that Kirk. Yeah, I'm going to buy you that Birkin. You got to get up on this eggplant and twerk for that Birkin. Turkey for that Birkin. That's coercion. I'm sorry. But it's the truth. It's the truth. Just saying. So we all practice coercion every day in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Even when we do it to our kids. When you sit up there and you tell your kids, if you bring me all A's on that report card, for every A you bring me, I'm gonna give you $100. Guess what you just did? You just coerced. You just coerced your child into getting good grades. I'm just saying, we all breaking the law every day. But anyway, I'm just saying, y'all get off of Gene neck. Leave him alone. He ain't been bothering nobody. He been over there telling his stories. And let me just say this to everybody who got a problem with him. For all of y'all that's in this chat, all of y'all that's in the bushes, those who want to catch it on the replay, the people that's going to throw subs in their videos because they ain't going to say my name. They know better. Yeah, y'all people. Let me ask y'all this. If somebody threatens to do harm to you and they have already done you wrong, allegedly, and then they threaten to do harm to you, that now makes them your enemy. Are you going to have mercy on your enemy? Are you going to give your enemy grace when they tried to do harm to you and you got a family and kids to take care of? Are you going to show them grace? Let me know down in the comment section. Let me know. Gene was only there on the weekends, darling. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Ain't gonna be no grace. Ain't gonna be no rest for the wicked. And I think that's the part that people are misunderstanding. Wait, what happened? What happened to me? Hell no. What the Henny? Well, I don't know what happened, Mercy. You still here, baby. You didn't get hit. Okay, we go hit with that Cardi B. If we got beef forever. Okay? You don't know no grace when it comes to somebody who done said that they was gonna do something to you. So at the end of the day, that man and Diddy got their own issues that's going on. And Diddy ain't did nothing to Gene. And it's been years. Gene Deal done published 3 damn books. I ain't saying Diddy all up and through the pages, but he done published 3 damn books and he done been all over different podcasts doing interviews. He go live on his channel. It's been years. Now, I will say this. Jaguar, I'm not too sure if Jaguar is telling all the truth when she be out there saying stuff. I mean, some of the stuff she says, it does come to fruition, though. I ain't going to hold you. Some of it comes to fruition. But Jaguar was not a part of Bad Boy. She was a part of Rock Nation. So when she getting into everybody else's business, while I understand that the business is small and all of that, baby, you wasn't in close quarters with those peoples. So I side-eye you sometimes. I side-eye her. Hold on, because there's somebody that be in the chat that I don't see in the chat. Did y'all? Please tell me that Shannon is still here. Oh, you asked me why I was upset. I'm not upset, baby. I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. Oh, okay. She been out the game for a very long time. But back to this blackball thing before I leave off that topic. People, oh yes, hold on. Where's Evelyn? Evelyn's in here? Oh, she didn't get hit. Yeah, she said like the comments was moving. I seen her name, but I ain't see what she said. So she must have left because she don't like the energy that I'm on. That's okay. I'm not for everybody. Sometimes this Henny be a little too strong for y'all because I get very passionate about what I'm saying. Don't ever mistake my passion for being personal. Unless I'm talking about my kids, my family, or somebody that's related to me or the Henny gang, I'm really not giving I could say it, two shits about anything. Anywho, people were saying that they didn't believe that blackballing was going to happen. Diddy ain't going to blackball nobody. What do you call what he did to Wendy Williams? When she had to go work in Philly because he had her blackballed off of New York radio. I digress. Anyway, let's get up into what we came up in here for. Now that I done said that and got that off my chest, I feel better. I feel a whole lot better. Where is Beyonce's lace front? The chicken was lovely, darling. Oh, Evelyn. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Evelyn. Happy birthday to you. Yay! Happy birthday, Evelyn. I hope your day was everything that you wished for and then some. We love you, girl. All right. So, now let's go ahead and let's get on and get all up into this. And I think I want to put a little bit of my music on. I want to put my music on. Yeah, listen, people ain't see that side of me. They got to see that side tonight. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, some of y'all got hellos from the other side, so we don't see you. Period. Anyway, all right. So before us, we have a letter that was filed today, the 29th of July, 2025, by Mark Agnifilo to the Honorable Judge Arun Subramanian regarding Sean Diddy Combs. Okay. In this, he is asking for Diddy to be released on bail yet again. Now, mind you, Diddy was denied bail more than one time than we could even put together. But in this letter, he says that Sean Combs, through his counsel, moves for his release on appropriate conditions in advance of his sentencing hearing scheduled for October 3rd, 2025. So Diddy is trying to come out before his sentencing date, which, if you ask me, it doesn't really make sense for him to come home now. Like, what are you coming home now for? You're going to go in for sentencing and you don't know what they're going to slap you with. You don't know if they're going to sentence you to 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You don't know what you're going to get. Right now, it is a deck of Unos. If you do Uno cards, if you ask me, and you might turn around and get out and get hit with a Uno reverse and have to take your tail right on back up there to the Brooklyn MDC where you don't want to be. Okay. Now, he's saying that there are exceptional circumstances warranting a departure from mandatory detention and ensuring that Sean Combs is released. All right. So he goes on to say that first, shown below is the history of the Mann Act, as well as how it has been prosecuted over the last several decades, clearly indicate the exceptional, indeed unique nature of this case, specifically the prosecution and continued incarceration of a customer or services provided by sex worker to a third person rather than of a defendant profiting financially from the business of prostitution. Now, what I want to say to you all is the judge gave his charges to the jury, and what he said was it did not have to be for profit. And guess what? According to Cornell law, it does not have to be for profit, okay? But they are going to lean on the fact that there are provisions that are saying that you could kind of be a little lenient, basically, when it comes down to Mann Act that does not include profit. Okay. So he goes on to say to be released, the conditions under section 3145C, there's two conditions, which we should all know because, these were the same conditions that had to be met each time that he went for bail. And those conditions were that the district must find by clear and convincing evidence that the person is not likely to flee or pose a danger to the safety of any other person or the community if released. Okay, that's one portion of it. Then the second is it must be clearly shown that there is an exceptional reason why such person's detention would not be appropriate. All right. Now, I am going to say this to you. This is just like a repeat and a Groundhog Day of what happened when we were in court on July 2nd, because they had the burden of proof. Now, in the beginning of the case, according to Judge Arun Subramanian, the government had the burden of proof to prove to the courts that Diddy was a flight risk, that he posed a danger to the community, and that he didn't have any exceptional reasons why he should not be let out on bail and not incarcerated, right? Well, now that the trial has happened, the burden of proof is on the defense. All right. So now the defense has to prove these things to the judge, clear and convincing. Okay. Now, if you remember when I gave you that update from outside of the courthouse, I told y'all the judge wasn't having it, but let's continue to read on. Now, in this, they do go into naming other cases that happened, like United States versus Lay, and Chavez. Let's read this Chavez one, because I believe that's the one that was the 74-year-old man. We're going to read a little bit of them, okay? All right. So, as noted, there are several exceptional reasons justifying release. First, in the history of the statute of the Mann Act has never been applied to facts similar to these to prosecute or incarcerate any other person. And this is something that I've been saying when the judge said to show him cases where there was something similar to Diddy's case, that they were going to have a hard time with this, because this is the first time that a RICO, and this is what people are not telling you while they over there getting y'all all emotionally worked up and doing the defense's bidding for them by spreading and spewing the defense's narratives online. They were going to have a hard time with this because they've changed the way that the RICO was being charged when it came down to this case. So no, you're not going to find a case on law. This is the first time that they have ever charged anyone with the Mann Act where the person was paying for the prostitutes and flying the prostitutes out and providing a place for said prostitutes and a third party to engage. Now, what makes him a part of this transaction is the fact that he was there in the rooms present and he was getting something out of this. There was a benefit that came from this for him where he was self-satisfying and gratifying. So this is where they're saying that the government, that is saying that he is tied into this. So you can't always just listen to what the defense had to say and listen to people that just stick with the defense, because then you're never going to understand what's happening in this case. So, as I'm saying to y'all, when we looked at the charts and seeing how things were moving about, on the charts, we saw text messages of these freak-offs, hotel nights, Wild King nights being set up. We saw Diddy confirming he'll get the place, telling the female to get to entertainment. So he's booking the hotel. She's calling to Cowboys for Angels or calling the prostitute or the porn star and having them set up the flights and all of that stuff through a travel agency after it's been confirmed that he can come out. They are then flown out, and all of this stuff is paid for on Diddy's dime, paid for by Bad Boy or Combs Enterprise, whichever business entity it is that was paying his Amex bill for that time. So he was very much present in this. But what the defense is doing is the defense is trying to separate him from the act so that they could try to get him some time home. That's what this is. So I need y'all to understand, when y'all are hearing what the defense is doing what they're supposed to do to try to get him out. But the case is the case, and this is the case that is being presented before y'all. So now remember, the judge told him to find cases that were similar. So now they go on to finding this case with someone named Chavez. Okay. And Chavez, they say, under Chavez, Mr. Combs' conditions of confinement at the MDC for the past 11 months justify release. Well, now this is what they say. A Judge Furman noted that Chavez, the Supreme Court, has never addressed the meaning of the exceptional reasons provision. Okay, so they've never ever addressed what those provisions were for exceptional reasons. In the United States versus Lay, the decision gives the trial court wide latitude to determine whether a particular set of circumstances qualify as exceptional. Okay, the circumstances here are by definition exceptional in that there have been never been a Mann Act prosecution remotely like this one. So as I just told you, they have never had this ever before. Oh, ball and draws, let me help you. Hello from the other side. Bye. Anyway, so it says the Chavez decision further noted that the circuit's only other published decision addressing the meaning of exceptional reasons is the United States versus De Samoya. Okay. The district court found exceptional circumstances because the defendant was a student enrolled in community college, was employed full time, and had no prior convictions. Now, we can't go by that because at the end of the day, Diddy is not a student. And those exceptions don't apply to him. So for me, it's like, okay, go back to the drawing board. All right. The courts of appeal, however, found that there was nothing exceptional about attending school or being a first-time offender. Similarly, in an unpublished decision of United States versus Cologne, the court observed that supporting one's family by being employed and complying with conditions of supervision are likewise not exceptional reasons for release. All right. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, RJ. All right. The proper reasons here, specifically the exceptional nature of prosecuting and incarcerating a person convicted of paying for sex services to be provided to his girlfriends, as well as the exceptional circumstances facing Mr. Combs at the MDC, given the truly unique circumstances of this case, are specifically the type of exceptional reasons that justify release under Section 3145C. So, they go on to say underneath the underlying facts make the prosecution and continued incarceration exceptional. What I highlighted here was there has literally never been a case like this one where a person and his girlfriend arranged for adult men to have consensual sexual relations with the adult longtime girlfriend as part of the demonstrated swingers lifestyle and has been prosecuted and incarcerated under the Mann Act. Now, let me just say this, okay? This whole consensual sex thing, what everybody is forgetting, and this is why whenever I go up on a platform, I bring this portion up. It's consensual, but it's paid consensual sex. There are prostitutes being paid. So let's not forget that part. Let's not leave that part out, okay? And then they go on to talk about Diddy's 2 long-term girlfriends had a private, intimate life that is not uncommon today. It may not have been common on June 25th of 1910 when the Mann Act, or as it was originally called, the White Slave Traffic Act, was passed. But attitudes about sex and morality have come a long way in the last 115 years. So we keep going back to this being the White Slave Act. And we're now talking about how sexual morale has changed. I'm sorry, nobody is pissing in my mouth. You can't even accidentally spit on me when you talking to me, or I'm grossed out. I don't like that. Don't spit on me. To keep your bodily fluids to yourself. And I'm just saying, the stuff that was going on in those tapes, those are not things that everybody is doing in America. At least I don't think so. I don't know what y'all do in y'all bedroom, but as for me and mine, ain't no urination going on in here. My bedroom don't smell like pee. It don't smell like pee and broken dreams and failed plan Bs. Let's continue. So it goes on to say that Cassie and Sean Combs went to swingers clubs and they had threesomes, and Miss Ventura consistently expressed interest and enthusiasm for her intimate life. See, this is where they're getting all of this from. Okay, this is where they're getting all of those narratives from. So basically, you can catch the tone of what's being said here, because they are trying to basically say, again, they keep trying to run this narrative that, oh, they're just, they were just some freaky people doing freaky things, and there was no force, fraud, or coercion. There was nothing that was going on. So this is what they're harping on. It was a consensual relationship. They were just doing some things that not all of us do. That's still the same narrative that has been going on. He says that Mr. Combs is incarcerated. Oh, this part right here. Okay. In addition, Mr. Combs is incarcerated while everyone else involved in this identical conduct, his girlfriends, the cowboys, the agency's leaders, the porn stars, and others walk free as they should. Yes, everyone else walked free because they cooperated. Now, had they not cooperated, they would have been taking their behinds right on down there to the Click City as well with all of them. Now, I am going to go into my members and I'm going to read this document in its full, in its entirety. So if you are a member, you will get all of this document because as you can see, I was highlighting away. I have read the document or else I wouldn't be able to come up here and talk about it and I wouldn't have had nothing highlighted. But in the end, basically they have compared Diddy to a college student who was working full time who had no prior record. They have compared Diddy to a 74-year-old man who wasn't able to get proper and adequate medical attention and talk about how the MDC is just horrible. And it's always been horrible. MDC has always been a bane of existence for anybody that goes there. My loved one was in the MDC in Brooklyn. And yes, they stayed locked down. And as a matter of fact, they want to talk about lockdowns. My loved one was in Hazleton where they were locked down for long periods of time, where I only spoke to them maybe twice a month because they was locked down for the rest of the damn month. They'd come out and get right back on lockdown. So if we're going to talk about cruel and unusual punishment within a correctional facility, let's not just talk about where Diddy is. Let's talk about all the federal BOPs. But anyway, the only thing that is different, okay, about this proposed bail package is the fact that Diddy is now offering a $50 million bond secured by his home, his two-star island home. He is also saying that he will go on to electronic monitoring. He will hire private security. He will go into drug treatment and domestic violence treatment as well. They've also talked about how Diddy was doing domestic violence treatment ahead of going into jail. Prison, because he's in prison. There's a difference, okay? Ahead of all of that. So they're offering all of this stuff on the table, but I do want to say to you, all of this stuff was already offered before, and the judge wasn't trying to hear it. Hey, Cassandra. I grew up in the neighborhood where the BK MDC is. Sounds like he might as well stay in jail. I'm not doing this with y'all. I'm not, okay? All right, so let me just go on up here. And let me just remind everyone of what the judge said when they came back into court on July 2nd. Can y'all see that? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me good? Henny glasses in the chat if y'all can hear me and see me good. Because this just said my browser lost connection to my screen share audio. I ain't got no audio for that. Y'all can see me and hear me good. Hey, Miss Shauna. Okay, Henny glasses are going up so y'all can hear me and see me good. So let me go ahead and let me just read this from the afternoon session for y'all, okay? So this is Judge Arun Subramanian, okay? And I know that a lot of people are saying that he was going to let Diddy go. So let me read this paragraph to y'all first, and you tell me if it sounds like he was going to be let go. Okay, it says, Judge Arun Subramanian says, I think that makes sense, Mr. Agnifilo, and I understand that you don't, that Mr. Combs does not want to go back to the MDC. He says, all right. He's shaking his head. So look, what it's going to mean is that you're going to have to cool your heels here in the courthouse for a while, but I think that makes sense. Again, to just make sure that we get this right. So by 1 p.m., could each side put in a letter on their position on the issue of bail, and then I will consider it, and we will convene later in the afternoon. So everybody agreed. They got up, they left. Mark Agnifilo gave his gave a little some, and then they were done. All right. So now the judge comes back, and this is what he says. He says, the jury in this case convicted the defendant on counts 3 and 5, each of which charged him with knowingly transporting any individual in interstate or foreign commerce with the intent that such individual engage in prostitution. This is the part that everybody seems to be leaving out. All right. Now, it says count 3 charged the defendant with violations with respect to Cassandra Ventura and count 5 with respects to Jane. Following the verdict, the defendant moved for bail. For the following reason, bail is denied. While the defendant's letter proceeds under the assumption that 18 U.S.C. section 3143A1 applies, the government correctly notes is the applicable provision, which makes detention mandatory absent circumstances not applicable here. There is a limited safety valve for mandatory detention. However, it requires that the defendant, in addition to providing by clear and convincing evidence that he poses no risk of flight or a danger to any person in the community, clearly somehow that there are exceptional reasons why such persons detained would not be appropriate. Okay. He goes on to say that the Second Circuit has made clear that exceptional circumstances exist where there is a unique combination of circumstances giving rise to situations that are out of the ordinary. Okay. He goes on to cite case files and says that U.S. versus Lay, the Second Circuit in Lay cited that U.S. versus Lippold, which collected cases have noted that circumstances that are purely personal do not typically rise to the level of exceptional warranting release. And the reason that they said personal reasons is because at the end of the day, Diddy was saying, Agnifilo got up there and said, his children are here, and some of his children don't have a mom, they don't have a dad. So he tried to pull on the heartstrings, and personal reasons are not an exception. Okay. And for that reason, those that follow, and in the government submission at docket 433, the limited exception to mandatory detention has not been demonstrated. The court disagrees with the defense's argument that the crime of conviction here does not trigger the mandatory detention statute. I want y'all to hear that. The court disagrees with the defendant's argument that the crime of conviction here does not trigger the mandatory detention statute. It plainly does on the face of section 3156A4, which includes in the definition of crime of violence any felony under Chapter 117. There is no dispute that the crimes of conviction here arise under Chapter 117. Now, the court rejects the defense's invitation to override the plain text of a congressional statute based on legislative history. So they're not getting ready to override it because of the way the laws have changed and all of that. They're not going through all of that. Okay. And there is no ambiguity that would permit the court to rule in the defense's favor on Lindley grounds neither. But even if the defendant was solely required to demonstrate by clear and convincing evidence that he is not likely to pose a danger to the safety of any other person or the community, he could not meet the burden for the following reasons, as well as those articulated by the government in their submission. The court first notes that prior to trial, when detention was not mandatory and the burden was with the government rather than the defense, the court denied bail. And the court sees no reason to reach the opposite conclusion now, where the burden is with the defendant, and by clear and convincing standards, no less. Then we move to the trial in this case. And at trial, the defense conceded the defendant's violence in his personal relationships. Do you hear what he's saying? The violence, acts of violence. This is what I've been trying to tell people, but people don't want to listen. They don't want the truth. They just want salaciousness and they want to be a part of the number. But I'm trying to explain to y'all that the domestic violence y'all is seeing is violence. It's an act of violence. Like, you got to pick that up. You got to pick up what they putting down. Anyway, so it says, in his personal relationship, saying it happened with respects to Cassie Ventura and Jane. Then he goes on to quote what was said. And we've gone over this before. And the judge says this type of violence, which happens behind closed doors, is in personal relationships, sparked by unpredictable bouts of anger, is impossible to police with conditions. Having conceded the defendant's propensity for violence in this way, it is impossible for the defendant to demonstrate by clear and convincing evidence that he poses no danger to any other person or the community. Notably, evidence of the defendant's violence includes conduct that occurred after the searches involved in this case had taken place and when the defendant was aware that he was under investigation on sex trafficking allegations. One of the government's most striking examples of violence against Jane, as to which there was visible evidence of bruises and injuries. And it came from June of 2024, after the searches of Combs's residence. And at a time when he should have known that he needed to stay clean. That was also one of the alleged violations of the Mann Act that the defendant was convicted on. So they're talking about the drug use. So with that being said to you guys, does it sound to you like Judge Arun Subramanian is going to let him go? To you? And let me just let y'all know, if you think you're going to go into my regular comment section on any of my videos and say what y'all had to say, like y'all going to try to pop it, don't think I won't find you, because I got my phone here, so my notifications are letting me know. So you will still get blocked, okay? What do you mean parlay hit? All what? I'm going to leave that comment. Matter of fact, I'm going to drop the link. You got something to say? Would you like to come up and voice your opinion? Because you can. Now, the reason I'm bringing all of this up is because some people are saying that they believe that Diddy's team has decided to go ahead and try their hand at trying to get a bail again for him because AUSA Comey or USA Comey is no longer a part of the government's team. So now, while they're in this transition period, they could just jump right in. Now, what I will tell you is there is another piece to this. And the last piece to all of this is the judge did respond. And the judge says the government should respond to Combs's letter by Thursday, July 31st, 2025. That means that they have the rest of today, tomorrow, and they have to then have their answer into the court on the 31st, which is Thursday. Hey, Fanny. What do you mean? Oh, you don't think he's going to be released? Okay, gotcha. Because I'm like, wait, what happened? All right, so the reason why I decided to read a little bit of that transcript. Okay, you can't hit the link, but you know what I could do for you? I could hit this. Bye. Since you want to disturb stuff. Let me explain something to y'all. We are having a conversation over here. And if you can't be a part of the conversation, if you don't have an open mind to hear what's being said, you will be talking to yourself in the shadow realm. So now, Parlay, that's where you are. Yeah, you over there with all the other ones that I put over there for the night. Huh? We don't hear you no more. You're not going to disturb our peace. I'm going to protect my peace, and I'm going to protect everybody's peace in my live. I give you the opportunity to come up here and speak your mind. If you choose not to, then you go to the shadow realm. Anyway, so the reason why I wanted to bring you guys that point. Hey, Mama Flip. What you said, Mama Flip? Mama Flip said they don't understand because they weren't there. They weren't, but they're following off of what other people are spinning out there. And I love the people that stop by this channel and just at least listen to what's being said. So now I brought up what the judge said, because regardless to what's going on with AUSA Comey being there or not, the judge has already expressed that due to the history of the violence that was expressed in this case and the fact that his attorneys have already mentioned this, he denied his bail, and his bail has been denied since before the trial. Now, I'm not sitting up here making no predictions and saying that Diddy ain't coming home, but I'm just saying, like, while we're out here talking about Diddy possibly getting out on bail, I think we need to really be realistic and look at what the history of the case has been. Judge Arun Subramanian, when he read that in court, because there's a whole lot more, because Agnifilo tried to make a whole nother proposal, and the judge just cut him off and was like, okay, well, I still stand with my previous ruling that the bail is denied regardless. Like, he wasn't trying to hear what he had to say. He made his decision and he was standing on it. So I don't know what this is going to possibly do. Now, they did follow the judge's rules by bringing in some examples of cases that do back up what they're trying to say to a degree, because as the defense is admitting in their own letter, there's very limited cases that they could even try to go off of. And even the cases that they used, they don't align with Diddy's case. There's no other case like this. So this determination is going to set a precedent for how they're going to deal with the Mann Act going forward, especially if they get somebody who has a Mann Act conviction just like Diddy does. And I think the thing that's messing him up is the history of violence. What people have to understand is domestic violence is violence. Domestic violence is physical force. It's not just domestic violence. So when you bring that into it, and you heard the language that the judge was using, there's a history of violence. There's personal violence. That's behind closed doors. He has a propensity of violence. You see what I'm saying? He wasn't saying domestic violence. He didn't start saying domestic violence till later on, after he had already proven his point of it being violence. Yes. Hold on, Mama Flip. So I don't know if they're really doing this because they feel like they have a chance. Because remember, I talked to y'all and told y'all that there was already somebody there in the Southern District that was Trump appointed. And we know we already went down the rabbit hole of Maureen Comey and her father and the whole Trump thing that was going on, and him firing firing Maureen Comey at the height when her father is going in under investigation, or there's a case going against him. So at this point in time, all of this is a smorgasbord that is just all a melting pot coming together. Now, if he does get bail, the question then becomes, was this Trump throwing Diddy a solid? We don't know. But I'm not going to sit here and make no predictions and hype everybody up and say Diddy's going down or Diddy's not going down. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to report to y'all. And that's what I'm going to do. But what I can say is, based off of how the judge has been, handling this, I don't think he'll get bail, but we don't never know what's going to happen. Okay. For all we know, this next submission to try to get bail to get him out before October 3rd could piss the judge off, because the judge could say, look, just a couple weeks ago, because we're not even out of July yet. The judge could say, 4 weeks ago, I told you that I wasn't letting you out. And now you done signed up for a couple of classes. You done only did a couple of weeks and you think you worthy of bail? Hell to the no. The judge could say that. Or the judge could say, you know what? Go ahead, get your bail. Go enjoy. Go ahead. Go live your life. And I'll see you back here October 3rd. And then October 3rd coming, he'd be like 10 years, 5 years. We don't know. Okay. But I'm not the only one that feels like he should just stay in there and just do his, like, October is right around the corner. I understand he wants to come home. I understand he's not accustomed to this lifestyle. I get it. I couldn't imagine being locked up. I don't think I would be a good candidate for Click Click City, because I don't like people telling me what to do. I don't. And I don't like to feel like people are bullying me. And if I get to feeling like people are bullying me, we gonna get to having a problem, baby. And that's just a fact. Okay. Now, I do want to play for y'all what TMZ had to say, because I am not the only one that feels the way that I feel about him staying in Click Click City. Okay. They feel the same way. Like, you might as well just stay there and do your time. But let me go ahead and let me throw my watermark across them. No. I guess that's a good one. All right, let's go ahead and let's listen to what TMZ had to say, guys.
Diddy is upping his offer to the government. He wants out of jail right now. You know that he is still behind bars at Brooklyn MDC while he is awaiting his sentence in October. But right after he was sentenced, they tried to get out on bail. They made an offer. They said, we'd like for him to be released on $1 million bail. The judge shut that down. So now it's like he's playing Let's Make a Deal, right? How about
that is what it does feel like. It feels like he's trying to negotiate. Like, okay, y'all don't want to take the $1 million because at first it was $1 million that he was putting up for bail. Now he's like, all right, I'm gonna give y'all $50 million and I'm willing to take an ankle monitor while we at it. Like he's playing Let's Make a Deal.
This, Your Honor, what if we offer a $50 million bail package? The money has gone up, but the reason that he thinks he should get out is because he says what he's convicted of were non-violent offenses. And he's right.
So now Harvey said, and he's right before I clipped it off, but he's saying non-violent offenses, but it's very clear that the judge is using violence in this case to kind of navigate him to denying the bail, because that's what he said on July 2nd when we was all in the courtroom.
He's right, that he was convicted on 2 counts of the Mann Act. The Mann Act is hiring a prostitute and taking the prostitute across state lines. It's a nonviolent crime. So when you look at what happened, there were allegations that he was violent toward Cassie and Jane, during the prosecution's case.
There was testimony.
But the jury found him not guilty on those counts. And when you look at the Intercontinental video in 2016, he would have been convicted had he been prosecuted in California.
Right.
But he wasn't. And
I think they blacked out the Intercontinental video during this portion. And they're right. He was not convicted of the sex trafficking. He was not convicted of the RICO. He was not. And he was convicted of the Mann Act. But the Mann Act also consisted of force, fraud, or coercion. So there's that part. Now, I know some people will say, well, what is the coercion part? Well, let's put our thinking caps on and think for a second. If you're a person who is an exotic dancer, or you are somebody who is a porn star, and you know that these people are going to pay you lovely for you to get up there and perform sexual acts. You get to sleep with this man's woman. You get to sleep with Cassie, who at that time she was popping, she was hot. And all of them have described her as having the golden snatch and the golden throat that keeps on giving. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying that's how they describe it. And if you listen to Clayton Howard, that fool was in love with her. Okay. If you paying me to get there, then that's the coercion of it all. A lot of people do something strange for some strange things for some change.
the statute of limitations ran. So his position is, look, you're holding me because you say I have violent propensities, but that's not what I was convicted of.
It's not what he was.
Now, they're talking about how the statute of limitations for domestic violence had expired in California. Well, this is not Emo, come get him. The closet is open. So it was not domestic violence. It was violence in this case. And we've got to stop. When we hear these narratives, I'm always going to say that because that's not what this was charged with in this case. And because of that type of confusion, this is why I said the government did not explain their case properly. They should have broken down what everything was in this case a whole lot more simplistically so that everyone could understand where they were coming from. So now this domestic violence narrative, which it was domestic violence, but it wasn't what was charged in this case. It was violence. It was acts of violence. It was acts of physical force. They should have honed in on that. So now when the defense came in and the defense said that, hey, this is just simple domestic violence, that took off running because that's what we see and we register that to be. They're changing the way that this was charged. So in order for us to be able to register that, they should have explained that a whole lot better. But again, the statute of limitation for domestic violence had ended in California. So that's why they didn't, I guess, charge in California. I don't know, because I wasn't in the room with them. But let's continue.
Convicted on, but those violent propensities do exist. So that's very clear.
So then you keep
not
him
only from the video, but, and I know what you're saying, that there was plenty of testimony from both Jane and from Cassie during the trial about violent incidents. And now he was not convicted of those things. He was not on trial for being violent to them.
Well, he was. Because force, fraud, or coercion. And
thank you, Harvey. So can we cut? Harvey came up out of the haze that he was in. Afia, did I say that right? Afia? Which one? Afia or Afia? Says, how come R. Kelly ain't appealed these many times? What's so special about Diddy? I don't know. And there wasn't this many people out here neither going hard for R. Kelly either. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's something like, what is it about this Diddy case? Is it because people were able to hobnob and get close to? Like, I don't understand. Were people starstruck? I don't get it, because if this was anybody else, this would not be what it is. You know what I'm saying? So you asked a very good question. Thank you for asking that.
And they forced to stay in the relationship, but forced to do the freak off.
But Charles,
and he wasn't convicted of that.
No, I know.
Right.
But there was testimony that Jane and Cassie were assaulted by Diddy. But
correct.
And had the jury believed that, they could have found him guilty.
Not necessarily.
First of all, saying had the jury believed that. If the jury did not see that that was there, then they chose not to see it, because there were pictures of Jane with a black eye. There were pictures of Cassie with the bruises, as well as the video. So to say they didn't see that, I think that would, I don't know, whatever. They didn't believe it. I don't see how anyone could not believe it unless there was some force or coercion going on. Afterthought said he used his defense to admit he was violent so the judge can use that against him. And that is exactly what the judge did on July 2nd. He used that admittance of violence against the defense and use that to deny his bail. So that's why I brought that back up tonight and was reading from the transcript of the bail denial that happened on July 2nd, because this is the same judge and the circumstances have not changed except for the fact that he signed up for some programs inside of Click Click City after his verdict came out. And the reason I say after the verdict came out is because he was allegedly enrolled in domestic violence classes before he got picked up. But all that time that he was sitting, he wasn't enrolled in anything. And now that he's been sentenced, he's going into those programs, which also brings in another narrative that people have been saying, which is that Diddy got into those programs to try to get out sooner, which is not something that's unheard of. It's not like he's doing something that is, you know, so shady and so shisty and so egregious, because most people enter into programs to get time shaved off from their sentences, because that's what happens when you do that. But the thing is, if that's the case and that's what he's trying to do now, he hasn't been in those programs long enough for them to make an impact, you know? So I don't know. Again, I'm not sitting here making a prediction. I'm just giving y'all what I have, the evidence that I have, and I'm giving y'all a different perspective to look at, and for you guys to really look at the evidence of everything that's in front of us, because many people can get up here and say many things. Many people can get up here and spin a lot of things, but I always come with giving y'all evidence to back up what I'm saying, and I'm not just yapping and talking because it sounds good. I'm also not saying I'm not all one way either. Y'all see, I'm like in the middle of this thing. I have my feelings about it and it does come out. But at the end of the day, I just feel like right is right and wrong is wrong. And I err on that all day long. And, you know, the government was wrong for how they went about this case, because there were things that they could have charged that they didn't charge, and they probably should have charged, and that would have got them what they was looking for. I don't know. But at the end of the day, there's still things that they have not charged them with that I don't know if they can come back and spin the block on. I don't know. But let's continue.
Can be assaulting them, but the jury didn't believe that they were forced to stay in this relationship, right? The jury essentially said they were getting plenty out of this relationship, and that's why we're not going to convict him.
Look, the bottom line is they didn't convict him.
You guys
of
are arguing
violence.
the wrong point. The Mann Act, under the bail statute, you can argue what you think the law should be. Here's what the law is. Under the bail statute, it is considered a violent crime. We can say it doesn't include violence. The Mann Act, 18 U.S.C. 2421, prohibits the...
Hold on. 1824C. Let me go back. Let me pull that up so we can look at it for ourselves.
It doesn't include violence. The Mann Act, 18 U.S.C. 2421, prohibits the transportation of individuals across state lines for prostitution and other immoral purposes. This is called a crime of violence when determining whether to detain a defendant on bail.
Right, on bail.
Counsel,
No.
wait a second. He just dropped.
That's
Hold
what we're
on.
talking
He had
about.
the
That's what
actual.
he's asking for bail.
Hold on.
You
That's
asked,
sentencing.
no, but the judge didn't allow bail for $1 million.
I know.
They were willing to put $1 million up. And by the way, you know as well as I know
Yeah.
that and I'm not defending Diddy here. All I'm saying is, no, I'm not. I mean, Diddy should have been convicted in California.
Hold on.
But what I'm saying is, the Mann Act is not a violent crime.
I know what you're saying. I get it.
It's not.
But the judge has to go by the code.
So is
right?
is this
And
about
the
amount?
US
Is this
criminal
about amount?
It's not about amount.
Now, you just heard what he said. He said that when it comes to bail, the Mann Act is considered an act of violence. He's so used to paying people off, he is hoping the judge will follow suit. That is a possibility, Danielle. Very much a possibility. Okay.
So
It says on bail. It says on
once
bail.
the violent crime, the defendant, the convicted defendant, has to prove by a preponderance of the evidence or convince the judge one of two things. Either both, he's not a flight risk. The judge did not weigh not letting him out on him being a flight risk. There's no real evidence he's a flight risk, and that's what the money would go to. Is he willing to leave $50 million behind? He has an ankle monitor.
Right.
He's not really a flight risk.
Surrenders passport too.
Surrenders passport. The other thing that Diddy has to show, the burden is on Diddy, is that he is not likely to commit the same violent act, the Mann Act, again. Diddy, remember, even though he knew he was under federal surveillance, even though he was about to be arrested, was conducting a freak off.
So what you're saying is,
And that's what the judge brought up as well. The judge brought up the fact that while Diddy was in New York, because, Mark Agnifilo kept bringing up the fact that, hey, Diddy's prosecution charges were victimless crimes. I wouldn't say that. OTM Slim, hey! It's good to see you. I've been missing your lives as well. In the midst of all of this that was going on, the judge brought up the fact that while he was there to turn himself into New York, that he was in the preparations of getting a freak off. He was getting ready to have Jane come to New York to meet him so that he could have a freak off there. He had $9,000 in cash. He had the stiletto heels. He had the drugs. He had the baby oil in the tub. Everything was ready to go for a freak off. So even in the midst of him knowing that he had to turn himself in, knowing that it was the final countdown, he still was engaging in drugs. He still was engaging in these freak off parties as well. So what they're arguing about, will he stay away from these? If he's a sex addict, the one thing that I'm not hearing them talk about, they're talking about mental health. They're talking about domestic violence. I don't hear a substance abuse or a sex addiction added to those pieces as well. Or maybe that will all be addressed in mental health, but there needs to be a substance abuse piece. There needs to be a sex addiction piece, because that's, what else would you call it? This is sexual deviance. Okay.
they will keep him behind bars pending sentencing because they're afraid he might have a freak off with a prostitute.
Correct. He might traffic in prostitutes.
Actually,
Right. And they hold him without bail. There are people who kill people who get out on bail. Again, I'm just saying what's right is right. And there are people who kill people who get out on bail after they are convicted.
Are you convinced that Diddy will not engage in a freak off? I think he probably would.
Can I just say, if there's a freak off where there is no violence, force, or coercion, I mean, do you care that much? Do you care?
I personally don't care. The law says what it says.
And that's why they don't prosecute under the Mann Act.
Look,
because people don't care. They never would have prosecuted him if this was just a Mann Act violation. The only reason they prosecuted him was because of Cassie and Jane.
Right. The video came out of Cassie.
That's right.
That's why they prosecuted. Let's not forget, though, and the judge remarked
Can we just
on this.
call BS?
No, I don't think so. Look, the judge said during the determination not to give him bail the first time, 2 months ago, whatever it was, he said, Diddy's own counsel admitted in cross-examination that if we were here on a domestic violence case,
He'd be guilty.
He'd be guilty.
Yes.
So therefore, the judge said this. Your own counsel said that you were violent.
But that was about the Intercontinental.
Right.
And he had to
I
admit
know.
that. But it wasn't about what the trial was
But
about.
that's
And I want y'all to hear what Harvey just said. That was about the video. He had to admit that. So while people are saying, well, he admitted to this and he admitted to that, he had to. Like, you can't deny the drug use. You can't deny the violence because it was there. We already seen it. You know what I'm saying? So for him to come up and say, oh, it wasn't me, that's something different. Also, another part that might come up and play a portion of this is the fact that when Cassie's lawsuit came out, Diddy said that he did not have anything, like it was all lies. It was all made up, but you settled it in 24 hours, right? All right. But then you make a video after the Intercontinental comes out and you make an apology. Well, at the end of the day, and you know, Jane testified to them sitting and scripting the apology and all of that. And that's not something that's uncommon either for people to script apologies when they come to make a public apology. You usually have a PR team that sits back, they write the apology, the person comes and they read it. Okay. That's usually what happens. Very rarely do we see people get up here and just apologize from the heart. So all of that could come into play as well. Listen, he has to meet with pre-trial sentence. I forgot what they're called. I could look on here. Hold on one second. I can get you pre-trial services. He has to meet with them. Okay, he has to meet with parole and all of that, and they will make a determination as well, or a suggestion, and the judge will go off of that. We're going to finish listening up to the TMZ. And then a lot of y'all have said that y'all would come up if I drop the link. So I'll drop the link. Y'all can come up and y'all can speak. But in the meantime, let's finish.
We'll talk about it. Violent.
That's the double-edged sword of them admitting, yes, it helped in that moment. It helped them to make the case that, look, we're admitting what you're seeing on the video. We're not arguing that. But that can come back to bite you later, and now it has.
But then
you hold him.
Who cares?
Right. The judge said
hold
that.
on. You don't think that Diddy,
you do care.
There was
The only
evidence
thing that
submitted
matters
in
is what
trial
the judge
9
did.
years ago.
Hold on for a
on
second.
drugs.
That's not fair. That's not fair. There was additional evidence submitted in trial that was never no contrary evidence put up. That he also beat Jane 2 years ago.
Then what?
He's a serial domestic abuser.
So keep him in prison for the rest of his life for violating the Mann Act because of what you're saying.
No, the Mann Act is 1 to 10.
He's going to get out in a year.
The Mann Act is 1 to 10.
Well, you don't know what the sentence is going to be. Again, you're just assuming
I know what
it's
the
a year.
sentencing
By the way,
guideline is.
just forgetting the law, if you're Diddy, do you want to get out of prison for 2 months just to go back?
And this is time served.
I get it. Nobody wants to be behind bars.
That's a good point. I think
you're going to get out and get.
If he's going to get a 1 year sentence, you think he's going to get about 1 year sentence? If he's going to get a 1 year sentence,
1 to 2.
Do that time now.
Do more time now because that's going to be time served. So you're going to get out for 2 months and then have to go back,
and then serve those 2 months.
And then that's the best argument, right? I mean, it's not about.
I would never say to someone just stay behind bars.
Diddy shouldn't be making the case.
I don't know.
He's saying
he wins, he loses.
What do you mean? You lose.
And I agree with that. Like I said that to you guys. I didn't watch all of this, but I agree with that portion right there that he said. You're going to come out and then possibly have to go back in. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe he wants to be there for a special occasion. I don't know. But, you know, we're going to finish it up. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me for him to come out now. But I do think, personally, I feel like maybe he is trying his hand, being that Maureen Comey is not there anymore, because Maureen Comey was definitely like, no. But it would also be interesting to see if one of the AUSAs, like AUSA Slavic or Johnson, end up stepping up to the plate and ends up continuing on with what Maureen Comey was trying to accomplish in this case. This is something that we're definitely watching and we're going to keep up with. I don't care who comes over here, who doesn't. Majority of this sector, they over on the other side, and I really don't care. I do this for y'all, for the people who want to be here.
Get out of here. I hate doing this.
You know, it's hard not to feel a certain way being a woman during this Diddy trial. There's so many serious accusations, you know, around sexual assault and what he did to Cassie. And I just hope that, going forward, that the judge thinks about the people, the survivors, because if this were any other person, like we all know, like without money and fame, like this person would be behind bars and they would not be out on bail.
I love what she said. I love what she said, because what she said is the absolute truth. And that was something that I definitely have been speaking out on. You wonder why people don't step forward. You wonder why people don't press charges. You wonder why people don't go to court. This is the reason why. Because we are not a society that is going to sit here and actually listen to what someone else has to say without judgment. The first thing everybody is going to ask is, why did you go back? Why did she keep going back? Why did she keep going back? Why you keep going back to that fuck ass nigga that keep cheating on you and bringing you BV and chlamydia and syphilis and gonorrhea and all types of shit? Why you keep going back to that fuck ass nigga that keep having kids? Why you keep going back to that female that keep cheating on you repeatedly over and over and over again? Why you keep going back? I mean, that can apply to any and everybody, because the situation is what the situation is. Like, people go through things in life, and I feel like that stigmatism right there is something that needs to be pushed off of the table. And what she said about victims and, them feeling like they don't get listened to, that's exactly what's happening. I've said this, and I'm going to say this again, and I'm going to keep saying it because people don't hear it. The way everybody has behaved with turning the tables around on the people who got up there and took the stand, whether you believe their story or you believed half of it or you believe whatever, that's your personal thing. But to get up here and then try to re-victimize the victims, this is why victims won't come forward. This is why. They don't want to go to court. They don't tell their family and their friends what's going on, because guess what? Exactly the way that the person that is inflicting something upon somebody, and I'm just speaking in general right now, the way that if someone is abusing you, they're going to tell you, you could go run and tell whoever, they ain't going to believe you. And guess what? That's exactly what this climate has turned into. Because now everybody is sitting up here saying, oh, arrest Cassie and do this and do that and da 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 da. And I'm surprised because a lot of people sat there and they saw the evidence of this girl's body being beat on. And that's what they come out with. And it's just sickening because it's like, how many times do we have to watch this happen? With R. Kelly, it was the parents' fault. Now, I'm not going to say that some of them parents shouldn't have been held accountable, because they could. But it's like people forget that you can still hold somebody accountable. You can celebrate that this man is free from RICO, and you can celebrate that he didn't get charged with the sex trafficking, but let's not sit up here and act like he ain't do nothing. You could still say, it was fucked up. I respect Charlucci a lot. I really do. He may not agree with the way that I view this, and that's fine, because that's his people. But I have a respect for him because he has said, we don't agree with all of the stuff that he has done, but we don't agree with the way that he is being charged. That's holding somebody accountable. He also said, we didn't know that the drug use was this bad. I can believe that, because most family members don't know how bad their family member is on drugs until something comes out and boom, it's on the table. Some people don't even know that their family member has a drug addict because they're functioning addicts. And he was a high functioning addict. So I can respect Charlucci and the way that he took this case. And you know what? He said to me that I took my stance and I stood on it. And I called it. I was calling it. I was calling it for what it was. And I was telling y'all how the government was building this case. And I was telling y'all how it lacked. And now I'm telling y'all how this is that woman that's speaking. I can guarantee you that she is somebody who has survived assault in some type of way, shape, form, or fashion. Because the way she spoke is the way a lot of people speak to me. A lot of conversations that I be having with women are that they feel like this case showed exactly how society feels and what exactly how and exactly how society treats people. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say that every person that comes forward is absolutely telling the truth. I'm not one of those people that's just going to straight off the bat be like, oh, yeah, because there's a lot of those cases that came out when we were reading those Diddy cases that I did not believe on paper. But I am somebody who feels like what's going on now, please. Anyway, anybody that wants to come up and say a few words, I promise I'm going to behave myself. If you behave yourself, you can come up. You can say a little 1-2 and then we'll be through. If not, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end this live because I want to go lay down in a little bit. I need to go heat up some dinner, make sure my mama has a plate for herself so she can eat when she come home. And I'm going to get back in this bed. And hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. Because, yeah, I be in pain. You're allowed to come up. You can come up. You can come up. Now, see, all of y'all that was live in the members last night and it was talking about y'all come up, drop the link. You will come up. You don't drop the link. Where Beyonce Wig at? Beyonce Wig said she would come up here. Where Wig at? Wig, where you go? Oh, she said happy Taco Tuesday. Hey, T-Love. She done left up out the live. Wig done got caught coming up out the live. You see that? You see that? I hope she come back on this replay and she realize I done caught you out there, girl. Xavier, what? She said the Red Lobster seafood boil is nasty, no flavor. I take it that's what you have for dinner tonight. Oh, God. Yeah, you ain't never told nobody to go to the water table and dry out. Now, that's a new one. All right, you guys. Well, I done dropped that link a couple, 2-3 times, and ain't nobody came up. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to bid this one adieu. I got to get my numbers back up, y'all, because, child, the consistency needs to be there. I be missing y'all, and y'all be missing me. I just don't be feeling like it. I'm going to be honest with y'all for a second, because shout out to Neek at Night. I was on her live last night. And she was talking about how she was feeling. And honestly, I've been feeling really demotivated. Like, I don't have any motivation. Like, it took a lot for me to come up here to do this live. You know what I'm saying? Like, I sat here, I did my whole live. I planned it out, what I was going to do, what the lineup was. It was supposed to be longer than this. It was supposed to be a couple more topics. But I was like, I'll plan it out, and then I'm looking and I'm like, I just don't feel like it, you guys. I don't know what it is. I'm in a little bit of a funk and a slump, and I see that I'm not the only one that's going through it. It's a bunch of creators that are feeling that way. That's why it's kind of like dry a bit. Like, if you're looking for your favorite content creators and they're not making no content, you might want to check on them. Hey, you all right? I tried to join, it wouldn't let me. I don't understand why I wouldn't let. No, you lying. You lying. But I'm getting back into the swing of things. To be honest with y'all, I have some stuff coming for y'all. The YouTube gods are sending a sign. No, uniquely is blocking you and putting you at the water table. And then not only that, last night, if you were in members, we was on live for almost 6 hours. Okay, behind the scenes, just dragging and tagging y'all. But anyway, listen, I love y'all. I thank y'all for all of the support that you guys continue to give. For those of y'all who continue to show up and show out every time, okay, I can't take my time and rest, Xavier. This is a business, and I got to make my money. If I don't say lights, camera, action, YouTube be like, ain't no bag for you. So I've got to get back on my bag, okay? So, yeah. I gotta get up out of this slump. But for right now, I'm in a slump. And not only that, this ain't my time. I don't normally go live at this time no more. I'm usually in the morning. But I'll get it together. Anyway. All right, you guys, this has been real. I love y'all so very much. I hope that you guys learned something. I hope that I have opened your mind to a whole different perspective. Remember that love is always love, y'all. And I love you guys so much. When y'all rest well, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace, everybody.